So we have a 12-inch hole in the wall, 12-inch flex going through the floor, and I'm going to check the crawl space to see how much room we have between the joists. And so this is going to be interesting because we have a plumbing pipe right there, and that wall right there. That makes it difficult to get a filter in there, but I'm awesome, so I'll fix that. We have a 14-inch flex, not that you can see any measurements or anything else. There it is. Going into the return, and over here, sorry for the plastic noise, over here we have what somebody called a transition, where we went from 14 to 12-inch flex, and that right there is a real beautiful transition. You can see it coming through. So I'm going to take this 12-inch flex out and probably go ahead and increase to 16. May not be fun, but it'll be the best way to go, I think. So, join me on my adventure. Alright, we got a 16-inch hole in the wall, and we're shooting down to what hopefully will be big enough for a 16 down there, and then we'll go to the crawl space. Alright, so we're just barely big enough, it looks like, but I think we'll be able to get it through. I'm going to pull it up and see if we can tie it into a collar. Alright, so we got the collar in, panduits on the outside, tape and panduits on the inner liner, and we're going to see if we can tie this in. I can't do it one-handed, so I will, alright, we got our flex tied in. Made sure all my tabs were as tight as I could get them. I'm going to shoot a couple of screws around the side, and then we're going to seal it. To seal the duct, we're actually going to use some of this stuff here. It is an indoor-outdoor sealant. Does a good job of sticking to my sheet metal and whatnot, so yeah, I'll be back in a minute. Alright, the sealing I can do with one hand, and there's nothing wrong with getting a bunch of goop on your paintbrush, and then you just want to take it around, make sure you got a nice fat sealing glob around the collar. Now normally we would take this around the outside of the collar, but since we're under the steps, we're going to do it in here. Alright, there you have it. There's the interior portion of a increased return flex, all sealed up. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Moving down to the crawl space. There's the fun stuff. Okay, so my next step is to install a media filter and attach the flex to the box that media filter is going to be mounted behind. Alright, I already disconnected the flex that was there already, and looks like somebody sealed this back box with a good bit of mastic tape. It's much like the paint that I just used, but in a tape form, and so it's less messy. So I need to cut through that tape and try to pull some screws. It shouldn't be too bad. This tape is fairly fresh, so I should be able to just take my screwdriver or knife and peel away where the screws are, and then once the screws are gone, I'll be able to separate that tape or box from the furnace. It's going to get noisy with the impact screws. Okay, so that's the process I'm going to go through here at the moment. Alright, so I've got it disconnected, and as I'm thinking about my process, I know that my filter is about 6 inches wide, so it's going to make this box 6 inches longer at minimum. And when this box is raised and fully connected, it comes extremely close to that plumbing line. So by the time I get my filter on there, it may be nearly impossible to fit that box on. So I'm going to have to take this box and cut it down at least 6 inches so that I can fit my filter in there. So I put 2 marks, one at 18 inches right there and one at 19 inches there, and then this section over here will all be cut and scrapped down. For the cutting procedure, there's several different options, but my favorite is a red offset tin snip. The red version is designed for a right-handed person to make a cut counterclockwise in a piece of metal or straight. And you'll need a pair of these to make your cut. We're going to start in the corner and move forward to the 19-inch mark, and then we're going to wrap around the unit or the box. Okay, my next step, I want to snip the corners on the box from the 19-inch mark back to the 18-inch mark so that I can put a flange on this box and be able to connect it to my filter box. Now, for turning that flange, there are tools, they call them folding bars, that are designed to make a 1-inch flange or a 1/2-inch flange on a sheet metal fitting. Way that I learned to do it was by hand with a piece of S-lock. Alright, so let's sum it up. We've got my new filter and my new return flex all put in, sealed up, strapped up nice and pretty over there. Not that you can see it very well. And then on the other side, we patched the hole, sealed that up. We've got our door and probably a better view of that flex going back. Now, these media filters are pretty straightforward as far as changing them. Just grip this handle up here, tug it out. There's a pin on the bottom that allows it to stay on the bottom, and then your filter just slides right on out of that cabinet. I like to date my filters so that I know when they were put in, and I had to put it on the back side because I didn't have enough room to get the filter out on the front side. So the access may be less than perfect, but at least you can get the filter out. And don't be surprised that there have been times where the filter has been installed and you simply cannot get it out of the cabinet. Now, that filter extended the plenum, and so you want to definitely be sure that you strap it to support the weight of that sheet metal. And then your flex duct, you want to strap with a nylon strap. And I always try to put the screws on the side of the floor joists so that they have their pull strength, or shear strength rather than pull strength, against the threads of that screw. And it's usually a bad idea, even though you think you're not putting much into it. It's better to use a 3/4 inch long or 1 inch long screw to secure both your metal hanging straps as well as your nylon hanging straps, so that if someone crawls through here, the screw isn't the biggest problem if it gets pulled down. This screw was put on the bottom, so it is holding up by its pull strength rather than shear strength. the threads will rip out of that wood if someone pulls on that duct or the vent pipe. Whereas if they had put it on the side where you see that other silver strap piece, it would be nearly impossible for them to pull it straight down and rip it out of the floor.